I'm a geek.
Yo,
You're a geek.
I'm a geek.
This is Geek Edition. Speed.
Versus style. We're going to give you a little pro bike check.
And to tell you how we like to set our bikes up for going fast.
Or going high on big jumps.
So this is my Nuke-proof Mega, the bike that I really like to ride downhill as fast as I can. That's definitely my background. I grew up racing downhill from the age of 15 till about 30 years old. Then I did some enduro. Even now, sort of 9 times out of 10, when I go out for a ride, I try and ride as fast as I can. So I definitely try and set my bike up for that style of riding. So my Nuke-proof Mega, it's 27.5 inch wheels, got 165mm travel on the rear, 170 up front. And I do play around with my suspension quite a lot. I've got this Fox Float X2 air shock on the rear, absolutely loads of adjustment on there, high and low speed compression and high and low speed rebound. I would say it's the rebound that I play around with quite a lot when I'm riding. So different days, different conditions, I'll try and get that rear shock working as well as I can for all the conditions. As far as my fork, I pretty much set that up when I get the bike and it stays the same. But both front and rear, I like the bike to be quite progressive. The Mega is already pretty progressive if you look at the graphs of how it works. So I don't really have to play around with the shock too much. I'm not changing any of those air volume spaces in there. On the fork, I run less sag, so I'm going down to about 20% on the fork, probably about 25%, 30% on the rear. And that's how I find the bike works really well for trying to ride downhills super fast. So the cockpit is fully standard on this bike, comes with a 50mm stem, and the bars have actually chopped down slightly to 760mm wide. That's just my preference for pretty much all my bikes. I do go slightly narrower on cross-country bikes. Only thing I have changed is actually the grips. So I've gone for the downhill ergon grips, so the GD1s. You've just got that collar, I quite like that. For a bike like this, I'm trying to ride pretty aggressively. I do like that style of grip. And I've got the Crank Brothers dropper seat post, and I've just put some of that grip tape on there, so my thumb is never going to slide off that, even in the worst of conditions. So I've gone for quite a fast tyre setup on this bike. I've got the Continental Trail King on the rear, so it's quite a grippy tyre, but actually it's a really fast rolling tyre. I run that about 30 PSI, so nice and hard. I don't want that tyre deforming or moving around. Also, this is the one that takes the most battering, I find. Especially when I'm on the flat pedals, which I am today. I find that I'm definitely not as light as I am with the clips. Tubeless front and rear. I've got the Baron tyre up front, so it's definitely got more rubber on there. There's more grip, although it's slower rolling. So I don't want to run one on the rear. I want to keep that rear tyre nice and fast. Like I said, I'm running flat pedals. I'm sort of switching between the two. I always race downhill on flats, then I race enduro on clips. Now it's up to me really. I change day to day. Today we're riding some jumps as well, so I definitely prefer the flat pedals when I'm riding anything when I'm taking off doing big jumps. I weigh 69 kilograms and I've got 65 PSI at my Fox 36 fork. I've got the 125mm drop Crank Brothers Highline dropper post. You can see I've got quite a lot of post showing, so I could get away with running the 160, but to be honest, on this bike, I don't need the saddle all the way out of the way. It's kind of my enduro downhill bike, so that's absolutely fine. I've also got the Ergon SMD2 downhill saddle. You can see it's got that bit of an indent, just nice for getting off the back of the bike. Got sort of a gripper surface on here. And this is the Pro Titanium version, so it's got a carbon composite shell and those titanium rails. It only weighs in at 205 grams. So gearing wise, I've got Shimano 1x11. I've got a 32 tooth chaining up front with that MRP top guide just to make double sure my chain doesn't come off. So on the back, I've got a relatively small cassette by today's means. It's an 1142, and actually this bike, I'm riding downhill, doing shuttle days on it, doing shorter enduro days, so I don't mind the fact that I haven't got a massive wide range cassette, and it also means I've got those nice small jumps between the gears, which is definitely good for riding downhill. So I'm 5'10", which I think is 177 centimeters, and I ride the medium-sized frame. I don't really like the massive long frames. I still like a generally kind of normal looking sized bike. I find that with the really long front ends, I can't get enough weight onto that front tyre. Therefore, I lose a little bit of grip. So medium suits me fine.
this is my Scott Genius 700 tuned plus size bike. You can get 29-inch wheels for this bike, but I'm running the 27.5 and plus tires. So talk about the tires. These are Continental DeBarons at a 2.6. This is a prototype tire. It's their take on the plus size, which will be coming out to you guys very soon. For me, it's a bit of a strange one because I tend to ride a bike really hard and I tend to run quite high tire pressures as well, but being a plus size, these things kind of deform quite easily when you're pushing it really hard in the corners. So I'm running quite high tire pressure for such a big volume tire. I'm running 30 psi front and rear. That all depends on what terrain I'm running, especially if I'm running rocks. I kind of lift the pressures up so I don't get a pinch puncture because I am running tubes front and rear. So what I've got is this twin lock system. So there's a 150mm travel bike front and rear, and what this little system does here, you can lock it, you can go from 150 all the way to 110 and then to lock out when you're traveling from location to location. But for me, I use this a lot when it comes to jumping. I tend to use 150 when it's a bit rough and a bit gnarly, and I like to have full suspension, a lot more suppleness on my ride. Then when I start to get into the jumping bit, I tend to switch it to 110. That gives me a lot more pop, and what that means is it doesn't shrink the travel. What it does is it's all internal, so it ramps up really quick. So it goes through 110, then ramps up, so it gets a little bit harder, which is good for me because I like to pop on big jumps. Lockout, I do use that a little bit, especially if the jumps are really steep or really small and compact, and I can just use that to pop around a little bit more. So I'm 5'8" and I went for a large size frame. For me, when I'm doing jumps and tricks and stuff, I kind of go for a smaller bike, a little bit more compact, especially when you're getting style. You can move this bike around a lot. But because this bike weighs nothing, it weighs 12.45 kilos, it's a lot lighter. I can throw this thing around a lot more. So I went for a large frame because I can do a lot more, it's a lot more versatile for me. Right, look at this spaghetti junction. I'm a dirt jumper and this is my worst nightmare, especially when I want to chuck the bars, spin the bars, do tail whips and all kinds of tricks that this just gets in the way. But I kind of live with it because I do like this twin lock system, because I can lock it up from 150 to 110 to fully rigid locked out for all that jumping, getting sideways. Right, braking wise, Neil likes to go fast, so he's running a super aggressive setup on that. He's got 203 rotors, front and rear. For me, I'm running 180mm rotors, front and rear, but I got these SRAM Guide RSCs. So they are a 4-pop brake, so it's quite a lot of stopping power, but I don't need such a big rotor because I'm not going that fast. I'm all about having stylish, jumping high, boost in and all that. So I'm going at a little bit slower speeds than what he would be doing out on the trail. Right, look at this. I love this. This is a full-on Syncross integrated bar and stem combo in full carbon. It's super lightweight, it's 290 grams. That's the same weight as a normal aluminium stem in itself. But this, I just love it. The width of these bars is 760 from the factory. I haven't cut them, and that's actually perfect width for my jumping style, because my jump bike has 760 bars and it's perfect for that. Right, look at this. I've got fully maxed out on my height on my stack here. I do like to have a high front end because I like to have my body weight quite central on the bike. By having this quite low, that means I'm shifting my weight quite over the front, and it's a bit hard for me to lift up my bike when I get into a sticky situation or I just want to boost jumps. Right, on the pedal side of things, I don't like being clipped in when I'm jumping. It's super scary. I can't get loose. I can't let my feet glide. I can't lift them off. I'm stuck to my bike. I don't like it. So I like to run flat pedals because I'm a dirt jumper. I run flat pedals. These are Crank Brothers Stamp 7s in black. There's a small platform. I don't like to have a big platform because my feet are not going to be bouncing everywhere. So by having a bigger platform, foot can bounce around a lot more. Whereas this, I like to have them planted small, and I know where they are when I'm in the air. Right, my drivetrain, this is SRAM Eagle 1x12. Up front, I've got a 32 tooth chain ring, and on the rear, look how much range of gears I've got. But if you only look at it, I'm only using these 3 down here because I'm all about getting the speed for all those jumps. But if I do go for a pedal, this 50 tooth one up here is going to come in handy, that's for sure. So my rear shock setup on this Fox new DPS, you've got this little rebound knob right here, and I've slowed it right down because I don't really want to have a fast rebound rear, especially when I'm coming into jumps. It's going to ping me over the bar. So I got that right over to very slow. Pressure-wise, I'm running 150 psi in this rear shock because I do like to have it quite stiff, especially when I'm doing jumps and stuff. I don't want it to be sagging and losing all my pop. Right, my suspension setup is all about being quite firm. I don't really want to have soft suspension, especially when I'm hitting big jumps. I don't want that bike to be diving into that lip, especially when I'm going in quite fast. Like the rear, I've got quite high pressure. I'm running 90 PS up the front. My rebound, I've got it a little bit faster than the rear because on the front, I tend to use that as a pop mechanism to get me up into the sky. Right, these are my Ergon GD1 grips in orange, just like Neil's. They match our bikes, that's why we went for them, plus they look more stylish. I went for the thicker grip ones, the wider grip. They come in two different sizes, a thinner one and a thicker one. I went for the thick one because I feel more in control with my bike. Cool, my bike's pretty stylish.
My
bike's pretty stylish.
Mine's very speedy.
Yes, right.
And it's stylish.
I don't know about Right, that's the way of how we set up our bikes specifically for certain ways of riding. Mine a bit more jumpy and getting sideways in the air.
Mine's all about going fast.
Yes, all about going fast. If you've missed out on the shred edit, click just down here for that.
Yeah, hit the button to subscribe to GMBN Tech. Click over there for a video going around the Continental factory, see how our tyres are
how many
made.
these things are made.
Give us a thumbs up.
We'll see you in the next one.